All right, welcome back. Here we are with workout number 5 out of 5. So this is the last workout in the spring cleaning workout challenge. And I cooked up an extra special one for you today because we're gonna be going over complex training. Just to let you know, a complex is a series of movements strung together to kind of flow from one movement to another. You can do this with dumbbells, kettlebells, and barbells. But as you can imagine, I am most familiar with kettlebell complexes. That's actually what got me into kettlebell training to begin with, because I learned, wow, with one kettlebell, you can do a series of movements back to back strung together, aka a complex, and you are getting in a full body, cardio heavy, core heavy workout. And you really just picked up the bell once to complete the whole sequence. So it can be rather intense, especially depending on the weight that you're using and the movements you're hitting. But today I'm going to show you an option to do it with 2 dumbbells, and I'm going to show you an option to do it with 1 kettlebell. So both complexes are going to look a bit different from each other, and that's for you to decide. Do you want to use your 2 dumbbells today, or do you want to use your 1 kettlebell? And hey, if you have both options, maybe stick with 1 today and then save the other complex to hit another day, all right? So let's break down the double dumbbell complex first. In this complex, we are going to be hitting presses, squats, and bent over rows. And how we're going to do this is we're going to hit 5 strict overhead presses, followed by 5 squats, and finishing up with 5 bent over rows. Essentially, that will be 1 round through the complex, right? Then you can rest, shake it out a little bit, and repeat the complex. I'm gonna give you some options as to how to do the complex in a second, but follow along with me right now to learn these movements. So like I said, we're gonna start with 5 strict presses. So just like we did in another workout this challenge, I'm holding on to both dumbbells, starting at shoulder height. I'm going directly overhead, making sure I'm locking out the elbows at the top of each repetition. I have 1 more here. And then as soon as I'm done with the presses, I'm gonna leave the kettlebells at shoulder height, and I'm gonna hit my 5 squats. As I've mentioned before, we're trying to keep the torso upright and squat as low as we can, favoring the knees, favoring our quad muscles, and really bracing those abs. Now I move on to my bent over rows. So I bring my weights down to my side, hinge my hips back to get into this flat back bent over position, and then boom, I'm hitting 5 rows, trying to really squeeze my shoulder blades together at the top of each row. I got 2 more, and 5. Boom. Now I'm gonna bring the weights safely down to rest, shake it out, and I've completed 1 round. So as I mentioned earlier, what's great about a complex is that we just took 3 different movements and strung them together into 1 set. And the best part is you can scale the intensity. If you want to do more reps, like if you want to shoot for 10 of each, 10 presses, 10 squats, 10 rows, which sounds pretty gnarly, you could do it, you know? If you're using lighter weights, it's always better to do higher repetitions. Whereas if you're using heavier weights, you're gonna wanna stick to the lower rep range. Now let's look at the kettlebell complex option for today. This is gonna look entirely different because when we have a kettlebell, we can do things like kettlebell cleans and kettlebell swings that are a bit more ballistic and cardio intensive than using a dumbbell. So please, unless you have a kettlebell, do not do this complex with a dumbbell. It's not safe to perform kettlebell cleans and swings with a dumbbell. I kind of like to think of the kettlebell movements staying in their lane and the dumbbell movements staying in their lane. But if you're ever curious to learn the kettlebell clean or swing, reach out to me and we can easily teach you those movements. So for the kettlebell complex, we're gonna hit 5 thrusters, followed by 5 cleans, and finishing it up with 5 swings. This is actually gonna be a 1-arm complex, so we only need 1 kettlebell because you're gonna complete the sequence on one side and then switch to the other side to complete it on the other side. So to start the complex, I'm gonna hike and clean the kettlebell into the racked position. and now I'm going for my 5 thrusters. If you remember from our other workout, a thruster is when we do a full squat to overhead press, all right? And since I'm only loading one side of my body, I want to try to stay as symmetrical in my shoulders, my hips, and my knees, and really brace my abs to help keep my posture straight and even. Now I'm going into 5 cleans, which I'm swinging the bell between the hips and then wrapping it around my forearm back to that racked position. 4, last one, 5, and now I'm going into 5 one-arm swings, just like the two-handed swings, but now one arm, I just have to focus on staying symmetrical at the top. Boom, and when I'm done, I'm gonna bring the kettlebell safely to the ground, shake it out, and repeat it on the other side. So as you just saw, those are 2 different complexes, and you can choose whichever one you want to do today. Now, here's where I'm gonna give you a bit of autonomy in designing your workout for today. So in workout number 3, I taught you the AMRAP style of workout, as many rounds as possible, where you set a timer for anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes and you just complete as many rounds as possible. And then in workout number 4, I taught you the EMOM structure, every minute on the minute. Similar concept, you set a timer anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes, but at the top of each minute, you are ideally getting through that complex once, maybe twice if you're doing the dumbbells, because with the kettlebell, you're gonna have to complete it on one side and then repeat it on the other side just to get through it once. So with the dumbbells, if you feel like you can do the 5 presses, 5 squats, 5 rows, repeat it one more time, 5 presses, 5 squats, 5 rows, then you can rest for the remainder of the minute. And your final option is just to get through the complex a set number of times. Maybe that's 3 times, maybe that's 5 times, whatever you want your workout to be today, all right? So you've got a myriad of options. The AMRAP, the EMOM, or just doing straight sets of the complex. So right now, I'm gonna do the dumbbell complex one more time, and then I'm gonna do the kettlebell complex one more time. So now's your opportunity. If you wanna grab your own weights and follow along with me, let's do it together. If you'd rather just skip to the end and get started with your own workout, totally up to you. Right now, I'm gonna grab my dumbbells and do that complex one time through. If you're wondering what the main difference is, sometimes it just comes down to load. As you see here, I'm using 2 15-pound dumbbells, which means I'm moving a total of 30 pounds throughout that complex. Whereas with the kettlebell, I only have 1 26-pound kettlebell. So I'm really only moving 26 pounds of load in the complex. However, some might think it's more difficult because I have to complete it on both sides. So it really depends on the equipment you have, how heavy you want to go, and really how long you want it to take, because the kettlebell complex is going to take longer than the dumbbell complex. Now I'm gonna complete the complex with my kettlebell. I'm gonna start on the right side this time. All right, so now it's up to you. First, choose which equipment you're going to use and the weight that you're going to use of the equipment. Decide what your structure is going to be, whether it's AMRAP, EMOM, or straight sets. Set your timer if you need it, or decide how much you're going to work and rest, and then get it done. I hope you enjoy this one. I love complexes. This is one of my favorite ways to train my clients. And fun fact, in the kettlebell classes that I teach both in person and virtually, we hit complexes all the time. That is kind of the bread and butter of our kettlebell training. So if you're curious to learn more, hit me up, maybe take one of our kettlebell classes, or just reach out with any questions, comments, or concerns. Get it done, and let me know how it goes.